In this demonstration, we're going to show you how to register the Cisco TelePrese SX10 endpoint to Unified Communication Manager. We're going to go add the SIP endpoint to our CUCM database, and then we'll go configure the SX10 so that it can register with our Unified Communication Manager. We're logged into our Unified Communication Manager, and if we're going to register an endpoint, we're going to go to Device, Phone, and we're going to select Add New. And from here, under the phone type, we're going to scroll down and find our SX10. Notice all of the Cisco phones that can join our Unified Communication Manager cluster. The 7900s, the 8800s, the 9900s. All of those are Cisco endpoints. Some of them speak SIP, some of them speak Skinny. Then we have our ATAs. These are analog gateways. They allow us to plug in analog ports. And then on the other side, it speaks SIP, so we can talk to Unified Communication Manager, which of course is a computer. Then we've got the products like the DX, the CS, Jabber, and the TelePrese models, the ones that we've talked about in this course. And if we drop down to the bottom here before we grab our SX10, I want to point out that we can also register third-party SIP devices. So all of these products, phones, Jabber clients, software clients that speak SIP and or Skinny, the Cisco protocol that Unified Communication Manager uses, all of those products register to this server. It's quite a powerful database. We're going to grab the SX10 and click Next. From here, we need to enter the MAC address. The MAC address is located on the home page of the SX10. So let's grab that, copy it, we'll paste it in. Here in the SX10, we're going to grab the MAC address right on the home page, Control-C, and then we need to modify it before we put it into Unified Communication Manager. We need to remove the colons so that all 12 digits are strung together. We're going to then copy this, and this will be the MAC address that we're going to put into Unified Communication Manager. All right, we're back. Put in the MAC address. We can give it a description. Doesn't really matter what you use here, whatever works for your organization. The device pool contains resources that we want our endpoint to use. It allows us to implement policy. We can tell our device to use this much bandwidth, or register to these servers, or here's the time zone you're going to use. There's all kinds of things that go into a device pool. It's a mandatory setting. We're just going to use the default. Then we're going to give it the button template. We've only got one option, the standard TelePrese SX10. And then as we scroll down, we're going to set the owner to anonymous. And then the other items that are mandatory for a SIP device are going to be the device security profile. And we're going to use the default Cisco TelePrese SX10 standard non-secure profile. And then the SIP profile, well, we need to apply that as well. And there's a lot of settings that can be modified and changed under the SIP profile. We're going to use the standard SIP profile for TelePrese endpoint. And I'll show you what's special about this profile because it allows our device to share content, to share our desktop, and to share features because it allows a certain protocol to run. That's what's special about this particular SIP profile. Now that we've got that information in, we're going to drop down a little further and we're going to set some product-specific configuration options. If we want to access the device via the web, we're going to have to enable that. We can choose between HTTP and HTTPS or just HTTPS. We can decide whether or not we want to allow SSH. Sure, we'll allow that. We can set whether or not Telnet access is going to be allowed. Then we've got the admin username and password. We need to put in the SX10 admin's username and password. We're going to do that. And so that's set, and that's it. Everything else is optional. I mean, if you want to choose whether or not standby is allowed or if you're going to use proximity, one of my favorite things, of course we're going to use that. So we're going to enable the options that we want. We've configured the username and the password. We've applied our security profile and our SIP profile. We're all set. We're going to click Save and then click Apply. Now we need to assign a number. We're going to do that. We'll select the Add New DN and we can give it whatever number we'd like. We're going to use 4444, and then we can assign a partition. That's going to be a lock. The number is the endpoint, the destination, something you call. And in Unified Communication Manager, every destination number, regardless of whether it belongs to an SX10 or a phone or a route pattern going to the outside world, all of those destinations are going to be assigned partitions. A partition is a lock, and in order to call it, the source of the call will have to have access to this internal partition. It'll need the key. That's an extremely important principle that underlines every call in Unified Communication Manager. Partitions lock up destinations, and then calling search spaces unlock them. We can give it a description, and we'll give it sales team. We'll just assume that this SX10 is going to be used by our sales team to send and receive calls. And then the alerting name, that's when somebody calls you. If you were to call the SX10, the alerting name would be sent back to you. That's what you would see on your device. We're going to scroll down, and we've got the option of setting the caller ID. We're going to use the sales team as well. The caller ID is when we call you. If we call you from the SX10, then the caller ID is what's going to be sent to your device. So both the alerting name and the caller ID are sent to your phone. One, if you call us. The other one, if we call you. From there, we're all set. We're going to click Save. We've configured the SX10 and we've given it a number. We've added our descriptions, caller IDs, and alerting names. Now we're ready to go to the SX10 and configure it so that it can register with this Unified Communication Manager.